Hey everybody, and welcome to Cut from a Different Cloth. I am your host, Danny Parker, and on today's show we have Boston-based author China L, where she will be coming and releasing her latest book and also her book release that she will be having soon. Now also we will be covering on The Real Deal about, I don't know if anyone has heard, but there's a photo going out of 3 young black children and a teacher where the photo is very questionable, is what I'll say the least. So we will be covering more on that in our Real Deal segment. Now, of course, you know I always have to spill the tea now, and where we will be speaking on Nicki Minaj being one of the I think she's a star eyewitness of the trial with her brothers going through with the child molestation that he has against him, from recently ex-wife to basically abusing her daughter. So we will be covering more on that, from the latest in Tyrese and The Rock in their current beef, where it's just getting crazier and crazier by the moment. And as well as today, Jemele Hill has gone back to ESPN after her suspension that she had. And Bill O'Reilly, he definitely got renewed for a very, very, very big contract deal with 21st Century, after basically admitting that he paid around 32 million off in settlements of sexual harassment. So we will definitely be serving so much tea today. But I am glad that you guys have tuned in to our second episode, and we will be going to PSAs right quick, and then we will be dishing right into the real deal.
Today's spotlight is on.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Welcome back, everyone, to Cut from a Different Cloth. Of course, it's your girl, Danny P. Now, we are about to get into our first segment of the day, and it's The Real Deal. Now, I was speaking earlier about the incident that happened in Bridgetown, Massachusetts, where it was Bridgewater, Massachusetts, where there was a class lesson that went horribly wrong. So the image that you see now is of a black child basically kneeling and 2 white children standing and having lethal straps. Now, what you see here is supposed to be a colonial pilgrim lesson, basically showing, oh, this is how pilgrims dressed when they came here, discovered America, but they used the straps in order to help children walk in those times. Now, seeing this picture and having parents at that school, it's a big outrage right now. Like, the teacher's coming so under fire with this. It's horrible. Like, honestly, it's very disgusting and very distasteful, because I don't see children learning about how they were supposed to walk back in Pilgrim's time. What I see is this slavery? Is this a representation of being in bondage of how our ancestors were? But in history textbooks, there's places going around saying that, people came from Africa to be indentured servants. So it's just like with everyone trying to rewrite history in today's time and with so much racial conflict going around, I honestly cannot believe that this would happen in Massachusetts because we're a blue state. We're very liberal. Like, I don't get it. I went to public schools where I didn't go to Boston public schools. I was in the MECO program where I went to Brookline public schools. And that was basically a melting pot, but each culture was embraced. It was different cultures. It was basically embraced. I've never had to deal with any class lessons where we would act out or play different characters. I would never see like, oh, something where, oh, this could look like it's slavery, or this is, oh, I'm being picked on, or is my teacher trying to racially profile? Like, especially with talking with history, when we would learn that in the public system. So to see this going on in my state, it's very disheartening because that just doesn't happen here. I can see it happening in like the rural South, maybe even the Midwest, but not Massachusetts, where we legalize gay marriage. We go for gay rights, women's rights, children's rights. It's just we care too much for something like that, and that picture's going viral. It's on Facebook. Parents are outraged. They want to call the lines up. And basically have the teacher fired. Now, the superintendent is trying to say of the district, it was an honest mistake. You know, we didn't know that was going to happen. The teacher didn't know. I mean, granted, she, how could you not know? Like, okay, there's two little other white children sitting down. They couldn't have volunteered. It just doesn't feel right. There's no way in your lesson plan that you can see something like that and think that's right, especially in Trump America right now. You honestly can't think that. Like, that was poor. That was a poor judgment call, honestly, as an educator. And I know a lot of friends who are educators, they even feel like that was very distasteful. Like, you just don't do that. So I don't think that the teacher was trying to have malicious intent, but I don't feel comfortable if I was a parent having her teach my child. If you're going to have my child kneeling and having two other students holding straps around her neck and just smiling like that, I don't feel comfortable with basically an instructor like that teaching my child. But to see that again, like with the times is changing now, like, and I feel like in my generation, which I'm still young, we didn't have projects like that. We embraced each other's cultures. We were very sensitive. We let people talk. You know, it was never something where a teacher would make me feel like, oh, I'm different because I might not be the majority of the class. I didn't feel that way. So now it's just very hard to see, like, I have nieces, I have nephews who are going to school, and this is racism in the classroom. I don't want to say that she's teaching racism, but just how it looks in that going out. It's just it shows us as a lesson today. Be very careful what you put on the internet, because whatever you put out there is gone. You know, it's not something you could just take back. It's gone. It's basically, if it goes viral, you can lose your job behind it. Now her livelihood is being tested all because of that one lesson plan, which is it was very unfortunate. But you know, it's very hard. Like, being a parent in today's times, that has to be hard, because I don't know, like, I can't speak because I don't have a child. So it's like, how do you talk to your child about that? How do you tell them that that's not okay to do? Because I wouldn't know what to say to my son or daughter if they were in a class and they showed me that photo, or if they were in a class and that was them. If that was them, that's not happening. That's not happening. No, we don't do that over here. But it's just like, I only feel like how her mother felt to see her child being treated like that and thinking it's okay. The little girl doesn't seem bothered or sad about it, but it's very uneasy, like, seeing that photo and them holding her like that. It's just like, is this 2017 or is this 1817? Like, I don't know what times these are these days, because it's just like we're trying to make America great again, but it's not great if we have images like that going out and about, and kids feeling like not feeling some type of way as far as, oh, well, I'm different, and this is why this man says that I'm better than you. It's not teaching unity. If anything, it's teaching division, because that's sending a different type of message to students. especially kids at that age, that's very impressionable. You can't just have that and just think that's okay. I honestly think if it was really a history lesson that we wanted to show, there would have been 3 white children, 2 holding, the 1 kneeling. But the fact that it was 2 and 1 black child, that's completely just awful, and it's racist. That's just what it is. It's racist. I know what the superintendent of the district said, but honestly, he can pay that because that's clearly racist. That is clearly racist, and that is not insensitive. That's just racist. That's downright racist. But on the brighter news, I'm just glad that not all of Massachusetts is like that. So, I'm just here for that. But this is the real deal, where I want this to be a segment where we can talk about current events, where we can basically have an open dialogue discussion. In the future episodes, I want to be able to have a live call-in so we can, we could chat, talk about it. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. We can have healthy discussion. I'm always encouraging that for the Real Deal segment, basically what's going on in Boston, but also in the country and in the world. Like, we need to get out of the celebrity world and the entertainment world. And, we need to tune into reality too, because what's going around us is it's very real. This is a real world, and how am I trying to say it? The times that we think that we've progressed, we really haven't if we have photos like that going out and teachers thinking like that is okay. Because just imagine what's going on in Georgia public schools, South Carolina public schools, Texas public schools. You'd be surprised. I think in Texas, that's where the whole scandal of the history books, where they were rewriting history books, basically trying to write slavery out, was coming about. So you see, times with today's children, they're gonna think that type of behavior, that temperament is okay. And I guess parents, because I'm not a parent, but parents really need to teach their children, like, that's not okay. And if your teacher has you try to have a strap around your neck or any chains or bondage, you need to let me know and tell them politely in a respectful way no. Because honestly, that scandal, it's like I don't think she's been put on administrative leave yet, but a lot of parents are jamming the lines that they want her out. Like, they want her out. I feel bad for her, but they want her out. But you know what? We're actually, because we're gonna go to our What's the Tea segments, but we're gonna go to our PSAs, and then we'll be right back where we could talk about Nicki Minaj being an eyewitness, because she definitely is the definition of my brother's keeper. So make sure you stay tuned to Cut from a Different Cloth. Of course, I'm your girl, Danny Babe.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
We taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing.
I watch golf with him.
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
We have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
Thank you. got a king?
Go fish! In your face! In your face!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back, everyone, to Cut from a Different Cloth. Of course, it's your host, Danny P. Now we're about to get into the tea. So, first is first. Hazel E. That's what we're going to start with. Now, if you watch Love and Hip Hop, the franchise, like I do, because I love Love and Hip Hop. I love my Ratchet TV Mondays. Hazel has been in the news, in the blogs recently. Now, Hazel has been gone to say she has targeted brown and dark-skinned black women, and she has targeted the gays. Basically, she went on a rant saying, oh, you know, dark butts are jealous of her and her boyfriend, and the gays can just burn, and they can burn in hell. And it's just like, Hazel, wait a minute. Her comments were a little uncomfortable because she felt like this, oh, I'm light-skinned, so I'm just automatically cute. No, boo-boo, we are not automatically cute because we're light-skinned or a lighter complexion, because there's a few girls that I'm like, no, just because you're light-skinned doesn't make you the prettiest one, because I know a lot of brown skin girls and a lot of dark skinned women that are beautiful and gorgeous. And then I know some who are also light skinned too that are gorgeous, but I know some that are like, oh, we're gonna pay it, honey. So basically it's just like, Hazel, her comments, and she's not the prettiest on the cast. It's like, and I'm being nice because Hazel, she's not a fan favorite. She's really not. And her storyline was drying out anyways. But so for her to do that rant saying, oh, like I'm this, I'm that because I'm light skinned, honey, don't do that. You're not. But you saying that you're feeling that epic backlash, and you're basically cyberbullying in a sense, where that your job is now up in jeopardy. Basically, Mona wants you out of here. And luckily for Hazel, I guess, Mona can't just executively make that decision. She actually has a committee of people that basically can either fire Hazel or they can overrule Mona. You know, they can keep her. So Hazel, I don't know if you guys want Hazel to come. Again, if you don't watch Love and Hip Hop Hollywood series, Hazel, she has just had a rough time on there, from being with Young Berg, or at least thinking she was with Young Berg, to having beef with her friend Tiara, to Masika, to it's just a lot, you know. She's a lot. And for her to say that, and then now she's trying to, you know, basically apologize for her words in a sense, but it's just, Hazel, we don't take you, I never took her serious anyways, but when she said that, I was like, wait a minute, you're not even that cute for a lighter complexion woman, and you're trying to throw shade at, you know, my sisters who are brown and darker than me? Like, come on now. I mean, that's how it's colorism is real. Basically, oh, I'm light skinned, I'm this and that. No, that does not mean anything. Like, Black people need to stop that. And she suffers from that because her ignorance, oh, well, they're just jealous of me. No one was jealous from you from jump, but you saying that comment is just only further shows her ignorance. So Hazel, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on her because the girls just pay it most days. So we're gonna move along from Hazel. Now, Nicki Minaj. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but her brother, let me back up. Her brother, Jelani Mirage, her older brother, he is currently facing sexual abuse of a minor. Basically, you know, he has those charges against him. And it's apparently the daughter of it was his wife, but after 4 months, and they started to go forward with the trial and stuff for pressing charges, she, of course, divorced him and such. And basically, he's awaiting, you know, Nicki Minaj, she paid his $100,000 bond because she's going to stand by her brother. And if you guys remember, if you heard Cheater by Remy Ma, you heard Remy Ma also addressing that, basically saying, like, you know, calling him a child rapist. Now, his defense team, they're about to go to trial soon, and it's now going to be said that Nicki Minaj is going to be an eyewitness, basically the defense star key witness, because apparently Miss Jackie Robinson, she basically, Jelani's ex-wife, she basically is saying that Nicki Minaj, like, oh, there's now new evidence suggesting that she was trying to extort Nicki, saying, oh, for 25 mil, these charges can go away. Like, your brother's freedom is on 25 mil. Now, Nicki Minaj, I guess she wanted money out of her, so the defense, that's what they're rolling with. And Nicki Minaj, is supposed to be, I don't know when she's gonna, go be the witness or go testify, but apparently she was trying to be extorted for $25 million, and the DA is trying to say, even though the prosecutor said there's DNA of Mr. Mirage in the minor's soiled pants, basically now the defense is trying to say, well, the mother put it there because they're trying to plant it, and now the stepson is saying that he was abused by Mirage because he walked in and saw his sister being sexually abused by Mirage in a spare bedroom of their new home. So now the defense is trying to say, oh, they're trying to extort the client, they're trying to extort the defendant because of his world famous sister. Now, I don't know. I really think he did it. Honestly, I honestly think he did it. But now with the defense, I knew they were going to go there. Something with Nicki was going to come up because she posted the bond. It's like the wife has the motive because she has access to the money. And if he did, oh, let's pay $25 million. Like, basically the defense is trying to paint his ex-wife as, oh, she's a gold digger. She's trying to extort him for money. So when that trial starts and when Nicki comes on, I definitely will update more tea on that because we're going to sip on that. So I don't know now. But also, I don't know if you guys have been following Tyrese and The Rock's beef. Like, seriously? That is something I'm talking to friends about, because Tyrese is upset that The Rock is going to have a spinoff of the Fast and Furious franchise now. And he's upset because apparently his movie, Hobbs' movie, is going to basically delay the Fast and the Furious for 2020 release. Now that's supposedly supposed to be the new release date. Now, Tyrese is going off on Instagram. He was making posts and stuff. And The Rock went also making his post saying the Black Album, it was trash and it was the worst thing ever. Like, they're just going back and forth with their videos. Like, celebrities have got involved, like Kevin Hart, he's come to instigate it and stuff. Tyrese is just showing videos off of his cars, like, I gave you this car and I did this, that, and the third for you, and you just see, like, he just wants to show off. Basically, like, they're just having a swinging contest right now between men. But I don't know. Like, I want to see Hobbs' movie, and then I love the Fast and the Furious franchise. So I don't know, but other cast members are starting to speak out, and someone asked, could The Rock take Tyrese? And I started laughing because that was a personal question that I've heard, and I was like, of course, I don't want that for Tyrese. I don't want Tyrese to get hurt because he's saying he could fight The Rock and stuff, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that, Tyrese. I don't want those problems for you. Do you see how huge The Rock is? That's all muscle, by the way. Like, look at that. That's Tyrese, no. If I show, no, no, Tyrese, don't do it. Don't do it. Leave him alone, okay? Leave him alone. Collect the coins that you have for Fast and the Furious 2020 release date. It's cool. We got 3 more years. This year's almost over. It doesn't matter. I just don't want them to come, physical, because we all know who would win. And it's just, I just don't want him to be, I don't want to be embarrassed for Tyrese, because I love The Rock. I love both actors. And I think they all make Fast and the Furious what it is. But I think personally this is Tyrese's karma because of what happened with TGT when Tank was feeling some type of way that Tyrese was getting more money, and Tyrese was like, it's just the business, man. Like, that was his response. Well, Tyrese, it's just the business, man. Like, The Rock came, he made his character stand out. They want to do a spinoff. It makes sense. It's just the business, man. But, I'm so glad that this next person, ESPN sports reporter Jemele Hill, she went back to work as of today. She went back to work, and basically she was on a 2-week suspension because she was using her social media as a way that she wasn't supposed to. It was a breach of contract in a sense. Actually, no, it wasn't in a sense, it was, because of her views that she was saying, her personal views. Now, she says everyone was outraged because, oh, they took her off air, they suspended her, ESPN did that, this, that, and the third. But she actually gave an interview and said that, you know what, honestly, she was right to get that suspension. She said ESPN, she put her employer in a predicament, saying to basically boycott the Dallas Cowboys advertisers and stuff. She put her job not in jeopardy, I want to say, but her views, they put them in a very sticky situation with the relationship between ESPN and the Dallas Cowboys and the advertisers, who were more than likely probably some of ESPN's advertisers. So she took her 2 weeks humbly. She didn't have any backlash, or whatever the case was. She said, I don't apologize for what I said, but I do accept that, I put my job, in a predicament where they shouldn't have been at, and I take the 2 weeks because it was in the rules, and she wants to follow the rules. Now, she was grateful for her co-host, for not doing the show while she wasn't doing it, while she was sitting out her 2-week bid, but she finally came back. It was just a 2-week suspension. She wasn't permanently off the air. And that's what people were very worried about, that she would be permanently off, but she wasn't. She came back today, so I'm very happy for that because, your personal opinions, like this job, I want to say, it's like, yes, you have to go on air and, you say the facts, but when you have a social media account, it's like giving your thoughts out. It's basically like having those thoughts. Like, those are your personal opinions. It's just Twitter. It's just Instagram. It's just Snapchat, Facebook, whatever. But when you represent a company bigger than yourself, you do have to be mindful of what you say. Like, could she have said that to her friends at home, in the privacy of her home? Of course. She probably said more than that and then some. But when you get on Twitter and how people see it and everything just goes viral real quick, it's kind of like, okay, now it's a problem because you're not just Jamel, you're Jamel who represents ESPN. So, but anyways, Bill Riley, did you guys hear that 21st Century, they renewed his contract for him, even though he paid out in settlements for sexual harassment cases to make them go away? He's still got a hefty deal from 21st Century. He still gets to be on the air. But Jamel, she had to get off the air for her opinions on basically suggesting about protesters, but he can, we can just sexually harass women and stuff, We can just sexually harass women. We can basically do that, get away with it, because of course, our privilege, it has us entitled to do that. In 21st Century, they're just, Bill O'Reilly, he's just keep going in the swing of things. I was never worried about him when the allegations first arise, because Bill always manages to get back land on his feet. 21st Century, Fox is staying with him. They're not gonna abandon him for some reason. He can have as many as sexual harassments, everyone. He could do the whole production crew, and everyone could say that, and he'll still have a job. He'll still be on air. That's just, Bill gets to do that, and that's just so privileged. We're so here for Bill. So it's just like, you know what, 21st Century, again, but it's Fox. Don't be surprised. I'm not, but, that's just some of the tea for today. I have to sip on that. But, that's just what that is, It is what it is. So that's why I'm just like, but let's see what's on Instagram, though. Let's see what's on Instagram, because I like to troll just real quick. And Beyonce's also dropping, she's hinting at new music. One of my followers, they are an instant Beehive fan, and she shared something, and it was like Beyonce in the bag, and she basically was like, Beyonce's gonna be dropping new music on Tidal. And I'm like, you know what, I'm so here for this because I'm tired of the Beyonce Instagram layout photos, but I'm ready to hear some new music because Lemonade will always be my jam, but I'm ready for more. Like, B had the twins, we have the kids, we're in rotation, it's time to get some new music popping so I can go to another tour, because Beyonce in concert is everything. So I can't wait for that, and I will definitely let you guys know more on that. So, but we're about to go to a quick PSA, because soon when we come back, we are going to have Miss China L. She is going to talk to us about her latest book and her book release date. So I cannot wait till we get into that, because I love her books. I read one of them, well, actually a series, Risking It All for My Hustler. Oh, it was amazing. So you know I have to ask her my questions about that, and we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about her book release event, and we're just going to have a good old Savage time. So we'll be right back. Of course, I am Danny P., your host, and this is Cut from a Different Cloth.
Thank you. You got a key?
Go fish.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
It's so shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Ballerina.
Sometimes all it takes to be a dad is remembering how to be a kid again. Take time to be a dad today.
Kids will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Welcome back, everyone, to Cut from a Different Cloth. Of course, I'm your host, Danny P. Now, today we have Boston-based author here with me, China L. Everyone say hey to China. Well, she's about to come.
Hey, everybody.
Now, she is the author of Risking It All for My Hustler. Now, the series, as well as Ambitions of a Savage. Now, China, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, no problem. So, okay, now I know you have a book release coming up. You have that coming up on the 28th of this month?
This Saturday.
This Saturday? Okay. So, you have Ambitious, that's going to be the latest book.
So, Ambitions of a Savage is the latest book. It actually came out the end of August. Hasn't been getting as much airplay as I needed to, but I've been kind of quiet. I've been focusing on my publishing company and stuff. And I know my fans and my readers have been missing me. So I'm like, I got to do a sign-in. I got to do a sign-in. So hence the event on Saturday.
Okay, then. Okay, so what? So tell us a little bit about Ambitions of a Savage.
So Ambitions of a Savage is actually the spin-off book to the first series, which is Risking It All for My Hustler. So as most people know, and some don't, that series is based on my life. Those 3 books. So this book is a spinoff of one of the characters that shows up in the 3rd book. This is basically, you know, everybody loved that character at the end of that book. Everyone was like, oh, he changed her, he saved her.
Yes, he's styled. Yeah,
right.
He
so this book is the story of Styles. Everybody wants to know, who's this mystery guy that changed Victoria? This is his life.
Okay, then. So it's going to focus on life in Boston and basically just developing. So we're going to see how Victoria and Styles like play out? Or
you're just going to see who Styles is.
Oh, so this book is...
Yeah, it's all about Styles. Victoria pops up in it here and there. You know, you got to kind of pay attention and, you know, you catch a couple times where her name shows up. But it's about Styles. This is all about Styles. Like, it's kind of like, you know, who is he? And where did he come from? Why did they meet? Why did their paths cross? I'm all about, you know, people come into your life for a reason. And sometimes you don't really even know what that is when it happens, or sometimes even after it happens. but I feel like people needed to know where this character came from. And it's not necessarily that person's exact life. It is based on some true events, but this one was my time to get creative, definitely.
Really? So this is basically the backstory of Styles then?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone, I want to catch you guys up, but risking it all for my hustler. Now that one, Victoria, she really went through a lot. I was like, girl. I was just like, girl, what is going on? Like, I mean, you hear about girls who, when you fall in love with a man, you know, it's just something about that new love. It's just, it just makes you feel like a breath of fresh air. It's basically like, I'll do anything for that feeling, you know, like it's just me and him against the world. But she moved her life to Atlanta. I mean, when I did the big move to Atlanta, it was for school. Like I had a plan. I was going to Clark Atlanta. I was going to be a communications major. Anything else that came in, okay, that's fine. But I knew I was getting those two things done if I went to Atlanta.
Right.
She went to Atlanta and uprooted her whole life and her child. So explain to us, okay. So you said it's based on your life.
Yes, it is.
So, okay, how do you mirror the main character then? Since I know life imitates or art imitates life, how do you and Victoria parallel?
Okay, so keeping it real, because, you know, we keep it real out here. I would say probably 96% of that book is my life. There are things that I added to it to, you know, catch the reader's attention, but the majority of it, that's me. That's what I went through. That's what I've been through. That's who I am. And I've been very open about that from the very beginning. I've had so many people say to me like, oh my God, you just told everybody all your business. How, why would you do that? But I mean, and it was a process. It took time for me to be okay with it, be okay with everybody being in my business. But I always had to remind myself, the past is the past and this is who you are now. Right. You know, so as far as mirroring, I would say, looking in the mirror, Victoria and I, we're the same person, maybe just a different hairstyle. Like, literally, that's me. Yeah.
Really? So how comfortable were you, like, because that has to be mind-boggling as a writer. It's like, okay, you're getting a story and it comes from you, it comes from your imagination, but when it's your life, how can you have that, like, I guess how I want to say it is, how did you make yourself comfortable like that you decided it was bigger than you?
I prayed on it. I did. I prayed on it. You know, I had good friends, you know, my sister in Christ and everything else I do, Kiki Banks, there were days where I was like, I would get to certain parts and I would be like, oh, I don't know, I want to fabricate this part. She's like, nope, just tell it like it is. This is going to set somebody free. It is what it is. Look where you are now. It is what it is. So, you know, I had moments when I got to certain parts and I'm like, I don't think I want people to know that. And there was stuff in that book that even my mom didn't know.
Right. So it has to be like, right. Because, I mean, a lot of stuff. That's why I was just like, because when I was reading the book, I was like, okay, you know, like, I love me a good Triple Crown Productions book. In high school, that was my thing. Like, Terry Woods, you couldn't tell me nothing about a Terry Woods book.
Right.
But reading this book, I was like, oh, I get that feel. Okay, so that made me even more excited. But then when I was reading certain parts, I was like, that's how we going in the book. I was like, when we got to Atlanta, I was like, that's how we going in the book.
Yeah.
I was like, I was there, but I ain't live how, I was like.
I wasn't living how she was living.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, because when I heard, when the girl said, like, her friend that was coming down, her frenemy, that's what we'll say. Her frenemy was coming down, and she was visiting Clark Atlanta. I was like, why the frenemy gotta be visiting my alma mater? See, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. So I was like, okay, but with that book, so since it's 96% real, it's like, how did you heal yourself? Because it was personal. I was like, Victoria, I'm like, man, it's
you know what? You gotta go through to get through, honestly. Like, and I feel like writing the series helped me a lot. It helped me, like, putting it on paper, putting it out there. I think that was a big moment for me to kind of just be like, I don't want to say I was born again. I don't want to sound so cliche, but it was kind of just like, it's out there now. There's no more secrets. You know,
it's
there
like
were a lot of people.
Like
yeah, it was a free feel. And then when I got that first reaction from a young girl that was like, this book, like, taught me so much. Like, I don't want to make those mistakes.
Right.
Where you wouldn't have said that to me a few years ago, I would have been, you know, insulted. Like, what you mean? You don't want to make, you know? So nowadays, I'm kind of just like, good. That's exactly what I wanted to get from that.
Right, you got the lesson.
So, I mean, I'm still a healing process. I'm still growing. I mean, I still have a lot to learn. I'm still going through things. I could probably do a part 4, 5, and 6 at this point. My sister says all the time, every time I do something crazy, she's like, are you just trying to write books right now? Is that what you're doing? But I mean, I take it for what it is. Every day, one step at a time, I'm still healing from some of the things that are in that book.
Right, because some of the things that's in that book, like the men, like it's just I was just like a straight typical Boston dude. I was just
girl,
like,
who you telling?
I was just like,
who you telling?
I was like, see, this is why I don't even mess with them, because I was just like, that book was really like, see, this is what I'm not here for.
I don't want to male bash ever. But I got that question too. A lot of people were like, okay, so the people that are in that book, they know that that's them, right? And I'm like, yeah.
They were okay with that.
Like, I mean, it was what it was. I didn't use names.
Right, because Q. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, he knows, and I mean, they've read it, and I won't say any character's name, but I did have someone call me and say, like, I didn't know I was that. Like, I'm sorry.
You did?
I didn't know I was that. Like, it was like that with us. I didn't realize we were young, and that was a hint. We were young, but
if you read the book,
then you know who I was dealing with when I was young. But it was just like I didn't know I made you feel like that, And we're better now.
Right.
But it was just like for me to read. He said it to me like for me to read that and to see that I made you feel that way. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah, because when you see something, it's like you can do something to somebody, but when you actually read what you did, like sometimes I had just spoken to my sister about something completely just a random conversation, and I wrote it out to our cousin, and I was like, wow, that sounds real messed up when you read it, and it's like someone going through it. So it's just like to read your life, like that's just amazing, like to be able to read your life, like this is my own biography, like this is my autobiography, of my life, and it's based, like on it's based on me, like so that's a very courageous step to do. Now with Ambitious Inc. Now that's your publishing company. So basically, with you being the CEO, you're the boss lady, all of that, boss lady over here. So do you have any other writers under Ambitious Inc.?
Yes, I do. I have Tasha Marie. She's my first author. She's my baby, and she has her 2 books out. Small City, Big Dreams, and then the sequel to that, which is Loyal to My Dreams. And that girl, she can write, okay? Like, she can write. Like, if I could pick anybody to be my first author, it would definitely be her, because she is level for level. We do everything together, like everything. If it's not her making a flyer, it's me making a flyer. Like, she's always throwing ideas, like, let's do this. I kind of feel like she's like, I'm the CEO and she's like the vice, because she matches my hustle 1,000%, and I love it. And then her writing skills are crazy. I read her book in 3 hours when she submitted it to me. And the crazy part about that people don't know, is that we went to elementary school together.
Really?
Like, and I never heard from her again after elementary school, ever. Like, I never bumped into her, never seen her. And then I wrote the book, and she's like, she, hit me up, like, I read your book is so good. I've actually been writing, but I never really wanted to. And I'm like, all right, well, send me a little bit that you have. And I read it, and I'm like, well, this is really good, need a little bit of editing, but this is good. When you finish, send it to me. She sent it to me 2 weeks later, the whole entire book. She's like, I'm finished.
Oh, wow.
And I laid on my mother's couch, and I read it in 3 hours, and I was like, you're signed. Wow. So, yeah, that's my first author. And then I have another author that's in the works that's actually out of Boston. She's out of Boston. This new author actually is 2 sisters. They're actually located in Alabama and Atlanta, and they co-wrote a book. So I'll be going down to sit and possibly sign them before the year's over.
Oh, okay.
And I also have a couple of submissions. I have a children's book submission, an inspirational book submission. I have a family member who's thinking about doing a Christian book submission. Oh, wow. So I got a lot going on for a company that just started in March, girl.
Right. So then how is getting signed a book deal? Like, how does that work then?
Okay, so my first 3 books are actually published under another publishing company.
Okay.
So that happened last year. I wrote the book. I submitted it to 12 different companies. I heard back from 5. I sat down with a lawyer. I decided which company I wanted to sign with. I signed my contract. It was really just that simple. And that was the first book. The first book released, and, I kind of got a feel for how things go. But the thing about me is I always knew I wasn't supposed to work for anyone. Like, I knew that.
When you know that.
But I knew that this would be a growing process, and I didn't want to self-publish right from the beginning. So I started to teach myself things like, okay, so I know my publisher does this for me, but how do you do covers? How do you go about editing? Like, how do you market and promote? I started doing all my own events, things of that sort. So, you know, but I was under contract. So I had to do what I had to do. I had to, and it saddens me sometimes because my first series isn't rightfully mine because it's signed under someone else. But I take it all in heed. It's a growing process. That's fine.
No.
You know, I finished out my contract. I finished up my books. And in March, I was like, you know, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to start my own. I'm not doing another series under anyone else. If this is going to be me, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be me. It's not going to be me listening to someone else. It's just going to be me. And I took a step out on faith. I started the company. My third book came out in May. That completed my contract. And as soon as it dropped, I'm telling you, maybe a week or two after the release date, I was like, so the contract's finished now. And at that time, I had already signed Tasha. I'm like, all right, it's done. And here goes Tasha. Here goes Ambitious Inc. Here goes Tasha. Her book drops in June.
Right.
Just like that.
Just like that. So, okay then. So how is it then, like, basically juggling life of being an author and the CEO of a publishing company and
working full time.
Single
mother of two.
Exactly.
Dibbling and dabbling in 1,000 other things.
Exactly, because I heard, well, when I was doing a little snooping on you, I saw that, you know, you also have dabbled into fashion and music.
Yeah, well, the fashion thing is a little predated. I kind of, you know, I pay attention, but I don't as much as I used to. The music thing, as I mentioned before, my sister in Christ and everything else, Kiki Banks, she's a local Boston rapper. And studio time, shows, videos, I'm right there. Like, everyone's always like, are you her manager? No, I'm not her manager, I'm her sister. And I support her more than I probably support myself because I believe in her that much.
Right.
So I'm always on top of, you know, what shows can she do? What can she do? Like, I just want her to make it. That's it. So
right, when you want another woman to win,
that's how it's supposed to be.
That's how it's supposed to be. When you want, I remember someone just saying that recently to me, like, you know, no matter how things may have ended or whatever, is nothing wrong with another woman uplifting another woman.
Hello.
It's nothing. It costs nothing.
Right.
Like, so that's when, like, to be able to do that, like, oh, you should be your manager, or you should. It's no, you're just helping someone out until they're able to help themselves or to get the proper, you know, person to be in there. But as long as you can help, especially with starting out, like, this is the process to, like, you know, basically not struggle in excess because there is beauty in the struggle, but to learn the process, to learn your way as you grow in life.
Right.
So I cannot believe Ambitious of a Savage is really about styles. Like,
yeah,
I just cannot believe that okay. I
had to do something for the fellas because that first series was definitely for the ladies. Everyone was
was definitely for the ladies.
I was Victoria. I've been through that. And it was like, you know, the guys were like, you know what I mean? So I had to do something. And I'll be honest, writing that book I actually started writing that book before I started writing the other series.
Really?
I just didn't have the creative juices to do it because it's about a man. I'm not a man, you know what I mean?
That's true.
But once I wrote my series, I kind of felt like I built up my skills. I worked on, you know, my vision and my imagination, and I was able to write that. And I'll be honest, my mom was a ghostwriter for that book, and sometimes she would get to parts and be like, where did you get that from? I'm starting to wonder about you a little bit. Like, how did you come up with that? Is this something else you're not telling me?
Right, okay.
So, you know, but I'm definitely, this is the book that I think is going to have to be a movie.
And okay, I'm glad that you said that. So this would be the book that if you had to make it a movie out of all your books, you would make this book the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Why would you make this one? Because I would really think that, you know.
My book, you know, my book could be a movie, but I mean, there's so many movies like that, you know, there's female. I mean, it has a lot of plot twists and but I feel like a lot of girls been through it, and I don't know. I'm just out of the box kind of person. Right. So for me, that's an action movie. I'm all for some good action.
This is an action movie?
Oh, that's an action movie.
Because you know how True to the Game, okay, you know how
Yes,
True to the Game.
yes.
I didn't get to see that movie, but the fact that it was an indie movie, so it's hard to kind of catch it in theaters. So would you want yours to be an indie, or would you want it to go through like a Warner Brothers or something like?
I'll start small. I'll take what I can get. I'll even make it a YouTube series first.
Right, because that's why I'm like risking it all for my hustler.
Hey, somebody want to help out with that? Contact me.
Right. Because seriously though, that was a good book. That was a good series.
Thank you.
So with writing though, like, okay, after Ambitious of a Savage, like, how do you get to prepare yourself for the next book? Like, when do you know if it's time?
I'm always writing. Probably not as much as I should right now because I'm focused a lot on Tasha's career and building out my company. People are already on my back for number 2 of this because this is a 2-part book. Okay, I'm sorry to break that to everybody who hasn't read it yet.
It's a 2-part book?
Yeah, they're going to be mad at me because I'm going to be honest, I haven't started the second one. Really? But I love you guys.
Because you give me enough time to catch up. You definitely give me enough time to catch up. Let my sister know. Let my homegirl know that there's a part 2 because this. Okay, I have to read that.
But I am working on something else. See, that's the thing. Even when I'm not working, I'm working. So I am working on something else. I have a big announcement for next year. That's coming up. That I actually will be announcing at my event on Saturdays. So people better come through or pay attention. After I announce it there, I'll announce it everywhere else. But if you want to hear it first, you'll be there.
Okay, then see, so y'all, so I'm definitely gonna make sure I'm at that event, and I'll definitely let y'all know next episode. I will definitely let you know what that big announcement is. I definitely will. But no, okay, so one final question I have to ask. What is your favorite book? I have to ask the author that.
My favorite book. That's a good one. It's gonna sound cliche, but that's okay because it's the truth. My favorite book by far is Fly Girl.
Okay, why Fly Girl? Because I love that book, but why Fly Girl?
Because that was the first book, the first urban fiction book that I didn't even read it. I had it read to me. Shout out to my cousin Kibi. I was like 12 years old and she was like reading, she was a little bit older than me, and she would be reading it and she would like come in my room and read it with me and my mom would come in there and be like, she should not be listening to this. Like, why are you reading this to her? But I was so intrigued. I was just like...
Because when that urban fiction catches you, it got a hook in you and it can't let go.
And I have an old soul. So even at that age, I was kind of just like, what, girl? No.
That's definitely me. That's definitely me.
So I always say that book is what opened the doors for me. Because from there, I didn't start writing urban fiction at that point, but I did start reading it. I was like sneaking reading it. Like my mom come in the room and I'm reading Harry Potter, but it was like Terry Woods behind me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Terry was a good one.
Yeah,
she's a good one.
I think that book, that was the door opener right there for me. Like this is good.
Really? Okay, then I had to ask. I'm like, you're an author, so I had to see what your favorite book was.
Makes sense.
Of course, it makes sense. But I am so glad, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course, thank you for having me.
No problem, because it's been like, when I read your book, I wanted to support another Black woman, but reading it was captivating. So it's just like, I gotta have her on the show to let other women know, especially in the Boston area. Like you see places like Cleveland and Philly and all that, but it's just like, Boston's here too.
Right.
So it was good to relate. But thank you everyone for tuning in to Cut from a Different Cloth, our second episode. I have had today China L. She came to discuss with us Ambitions of a Savage, basically telling on styles. So in order to read this, you should kind of catch up on Risking It All for My Hustler, part 1 through 3. And we also got to cover The Real Deal with the Bridgewater pay that. I'm still upset about the kids because that's crazy to me. Like having it as a parent, it's just like, no, it couldn't have been my kids.
That's all I'm gonna say.
So it's just like, no. And of course the tea, as usual, I'm gonna still sip on some tea. But thank you to my amazing crew for getting me through this episode yet again. And I will see you guys very soon.